Radio Sputnik. We speak your language. Find us at SputnikNews.com.
Time now for a look at what's happening in the world of social media. So, Craig, what are people saying? What's trending today?
Okay, we have hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag Washington, and hashtag questions that keep me up.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, Bitcoin. The founder and director of Standpoint Research, Ronnie Moaz, who foresaw Bitcoin's incredible rise this year, says the price of the world's leading cryptocurrency will reach $400,000 one day.
That's a prediction.
Yeah, as it's sitting around 18, 19.
You're still not tempted yet, Craig?
Oh, I think I've missed the boat. I think I've missed the boat.
It goes to 400,000 though.
Well, I guess, yeah. So what's that, 20 times what we're on just now, more or less?
Yeah.
I'd take a 20 times profit of an investment, wouldn't you?
I would, but I'm not sure I could take a 20 loss.
Surely, yeah, true. Surely it's a matter of time before governments try to get their fingers in the till here.
Yeah, I think that may precipitate the crash, the bubble that everyone's predicting that it's going to burst, and then people might start losing money. Who knows?
That's if it does burst, though.
Of course.
Because we've all been predicting this for a long time. It's not happened yet, has it?
Not yet.
Well, Paul Sell says here, unfortunately, I sold at $5,000.
Oh.
Being sure that was the peak.
Yeah.
I know.
What did he buy them for, though?
He doesn't say, but I reckon it was pretty much pennies.
Yeah. Ouch.
See, this is it. It's just a gamble. It's kind of like being in the casino in a way, isn't it?
Do you not think it says a lot about people's greed, though? I mean, if say he's made a fairly handsome profit,
yes,
but if you get out early and it goes to 15 or 20 or 400,000, then although you've made a fair bit of money, you're going to still be a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Ash, our engineer through the glass here, he's made a fortune from Bitcoin already. So if it goes to 400,000,
he might not be here much longer. He might be in the Bahamas or something.
He might even buy us a drink. Danny says, I'm sure Bitcoin will crash again and crash heavily. However, there's no way of knowing when that will be. And in the meantime, like other bubbles, we have to wait and see. So a real mixed bag of opinion on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm not made up my mind yet.
Frugal Scotsman. Gary says Bitcoin.
Scotsman more like, but anyway, yeah.
Gary says Bitcoin is currently worth more than Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley combined. No wonder the banks are advising against it. It's in their own interests.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
I think there is, because obviously it cuts out the middleman, and they're the middleman.
Yeah. Banks don't like Bitcoin.
They might be behind a bit of meddling and scarce storying of their own. Who knows?
Bankers? Surely
not, Mark. I'm not making an absolute accusation here. We all know how ethical bankers are.
Yes, they do have a track record, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they should be in jail. But anyway, that's another story.
The Icelandic people jailed them, didn't they?
Iceland did, yeah. They sorted them out.
Yeah, and we heard, from Western European governments, etc., how they couldn't do that, but Iceland managed to do it, didn't they?
They were too big to fail, we were told. Yeah. Everyone else down the Swanee.
Absolutely. And still paying for it, I guess.
Yeah, we're very much paying for it, unfortunately.
Moving on, Washington has allocated $214 million to build airfields, training sites, ranges, and other military installations in a military build-up in Eastern and Northern Europe.
Oh, well, hardly surprised. They've got quite a big military footprint anyway. Globally, not just in Eastern Europe. So is this in response to anything in specific?
Well, I'll do this in sort of an air quote, Russian aggression. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So,
the old Russian aggression story.
Yeah, that's the one. Ronan says $214 million while people are going hungry in the world. And Nick makes a statement here. This is an act of aggression. The US wouldn't accept a military build-up on its borders.
I've said it many times before, but I've often wondered what the United States response would be if Russia was to open a big military base in Mexico or Canada.
Yeah.
Not that the Canadians or Mexicans would agree to that, but if they did do that, Or Cuba, say. We know what happened last time.
Absolutely, we do. And that is a very good example, isn't it?
It's often forgotten as well. It's part of the untold history of that period of the Cuban crisis that the Americans had actually put missiles into Turkey, really close to the Russian border. So the build-up that the Soviet Union had in Cuba was in a direct response to that. And it was never properly given much airtime. But when the Soviet missiles were withdrawn from Cuba, the Americans agreed to secretly withdraw their missiles from Turkey.
See, the mainstream media really control the narrative, don't they?
Yeah.
They do. Although, I guess not so much nowadays. The internet and, of course, Sputnik have changed the way people think, don't you reckon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Giving an alternative view to the established forelock-tugging perspective that we're often fed.
Absolutely. Harry, who's listening in Washington right now, says, as a US taxpayer, I want to see this money invested in better education for my kids rather than trying to provoke World War III.
Exactly. Well, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's
Nothing's
surely,
wrong with that.
You would think politicians, I wonder actually if they were more honest politicians, and they're never going to be, but if they did say, we're going to have all these missiles, we're going to spend billions, we're going to keep you in austerity, they might not get elected.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's dishonest, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Completely agree with that. Dishonest politicians. Now, here's something that's trending, and it's gathering a bit of a footprint on Twitter. Hashtag questions that keep me up. So is there any questions that keep you up thinking all night long? Alex says, if you choke a Smurf, what colour does he turn?
Blue?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he is blue already, so how would you know?
That kept him up all night, did it?
Yeah. And George says, if Cinderella's shoe was a perfect fit, why did it fall off? See?
Okay, well, we'll have to shoehorn in something else here now.
Okay.
But remember, if you would like to comment on any of our news stories, you can do so by emailing us at radio@sputniknews.com. And finally, a new piece of scientific research now. Craig, can you hold up your hand in front of me and with your fingers straightened like this? Okay, interesting. Well, new research has uncovered that the length of your ring finger, that's the one next to your whole finger, that's the length of your ring finger they've determined that the length of your ring finger can determine what kind of women you're attracted to and what kind of women are attracted to you.
Ooh.
And the sad thing is that the type of women you attract may be predetermined when you're in your mother's womb. So, Craig, your ring finger is longer than your index finger by quite a stretch.
Yes.
Mine is slightly longer than my index finger also. Well, scientists from the University Medical College in Krakow in Poland have concluded that this was caused by a burst of male hormone, the male hormone testosterone, when you were in the womb, and it apparently impacts on the type of women you'll attract. Men with long ring fingers are 4 times more likely to end up with a partner who has the classical hourglass figure. How is that possible, I hear you say? Well, researchers looked at the hands of 50 young men in long-term relationships and then compared the vital statistics of their partners. They found that men with longer ring fingers than index fingers and bustier women with small waists gravitate towards each other. Now, the biological explanation for this is that men with longer ring fingers have slightly more testosterone, and according to the Polish research, women regarded as being more attractive with large chests are deemed more fertile. The scientists used eye-tracking studies, and that showed that when evaluating the female body for attractiveness, men focused on the waist and breast areas that indicate, according to the research, an honest signal about women's reproductive status.
They needed to do research in that.
They did, yeah. The study also points to another side effect of this testosterone burst in the womb, and that it can also lead to more muscly and athletic men who have more powerful grips and better spatial abilities, which is both of us in a nutshell,
Obviously,
isn't it?
yes. Yeah.
I think these scientists have too much time on their hands, to be honest with you, but let's not poke fun at them. Okay, Craig, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but you can catch up on the latest headlines and breaking news by going to sputniknews.com/radio. In the meantime, from Craig Johnson, myself, Mark Hirst, and the rest of the team here at Radio Sputnik, thanks for listening. In a moment, we hand over to Washington, D.C., which listeners in D.C. can also tune into on 105.5 FM and 1390 AM. But for now, goodbye.
Radio Sputnik. We speak your language. Find us at SputnikNews.com.
time now for a look at what's happening in the world of social media. So, Craig, what are people saying? What's trending today?
Okay, we have hashtag UFO, hashtag HMS Queen Elizabeth, and hashtag Tuesday Thoughts. It is a Tuesday, by the way.
It's only Tuesday.
Yeah, it's that weird feeling before Christmas where we're not quite sure what day it is.
Yeah, we're normally wishing it was Friday, admittedly, but there we go. UFOs anyway.
Yeah, let's get on to the important stuff. The Pentagon has reportedly recovered metal alloys from unidentified flying objects that scientists do not recognise. Now, the materials, which are said to have had amazing properties, are being stored in modified buildings in Las Vegas. Now, this is according to the New York Times.
Okay. And what's your thoughts on the whole UFO thing?
Well, I've never seen one myself.
I have.
See, this is it. See, if I saw one myself, I would believe.
Yeah, I saw one, but I'm still not convinced it was... Well, it was unidentified. And I saw it in a place in Scotland called Bonnybridge, which is sometimes referred to as the gateway to another universe.
Aye, that's just
because
the people.
It has the highest... Exactly. It has the highest concentration of UFO sightings anywhere in the UK.
That's right, I remember that.
And I saw one there, and I must admit... It did look a little strange, but I don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was aliens.
So what did it look like?
It started off as a kind of elongated, sausage-shaped white light in the sky. But as it approached and more or less came over our heads, it changed shape into a ball, and then it disappeared. And there was no sound at all.
Did you capture it on film?
No, but we phoned it, and apparently about 30 or 40 people had seen it as well. Reported it to the Royal Observatory in Edinburgh.
And any explanation?
No.
No. Yeah. Well, you see, this is it. If governments admitted there were aliens, how do you think people would react? It would be panic,
Yeah, they're not going to come to Earth, though, are they? Look at all the great things we've generated. Child poverty, war, conflict, disaster.
Yeah, they're maybe just keeping a distance, right?
Yeah, watch from a safe distance.
Yeah, well... Let's get some of your comments. Mike says, I'm not usually open to conspiracy theories, but I'm certain there's a lot of strange stuff happening up there that the governments of this world would rather keep to themselves. Just imagine that there was kind of other resources and stuff like that.
It's a convenient cover for governments to think that there are UFOs because that allows them to test certain types of technology without disclosing what that technology is.
There was a theory way back that the stealth bomber was based on UFO technology.
Yeah.
Way back.
I'm not convinced.
Daisy says there's probably something out there, but we don't know what it is. That's the message from this story. And Matt says this New York Times story is probably a way of justifying the discovery of spending trillions of dollars by the military, the weaponization of space against a potential threat.
Or alternatively, it could just be a quiet news week.
Could be.
And UFOs, what about next week? Loch Ness Monster appearing?
Why not?
I suspect he might thrust his head above the waters of Loch Ness.
Anyway, so yeah, UFOs trending. It's something that always gets people talking, and you know, everyone's got a different opinion on this.
Yeah,
and we always know somebody that's got a story. You know, I mean, we all know people that's seen one.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm not saying it's alien, it's certainly unidentified.
The probability is that there is life somewhere else out there.
Yes.
This can't be the best that the universe has thrown up, surely.
You're looking at me, I'm a fine specimen
well, there's no one else to look at.
Okay, moving on. From aliens to Britain's new 3.1 billion aircraft carrier. It's called HMS Queen Elizabeth. Well, it's leaking. It needs repairs, Mark.
Yeah, is leak the right word? 200 litres of water an hour? It sounds like it's sinking. That would, well, in my book anyway, I would be keen to get off. And it's a pity, I mean, they can't fly off because there's no planes for it.
Yeah, Britain seems to have problems building military equipment nowadays.
I suppose it's a while since there's been a big British blockbuster as well. We had Titanic, remember? So it might be Titanic 2 coming up.
Yeah, Christmas movie.
Yeah. It's a white elephant anyway.
Yeah, well, some comments more or less saying that. Lucas says, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, with the leak found, it's almost as embarrassing as having no aircraft to fly off its decks. Why build such a white elephant? Do you reckon it's just a sort of show of strength?
Yeah, it's it's meant to be a standard bearer for British power, but I think it's locked in that old British imperialist thing that died out 100 years ago. And I mean, when you think about it, I think the most obscene aspect of it is, this is one of two carriers they've planned, each costing at least $3.1 billion. That's billion pounds. That's $400 billion. So at a time when there's incredible austerity and poverty, there's the number of people sleeping homeless in the UK has risen sharply. Yeah, it does seem an obscene amount of money.
Megan touches on that. She emailed radio@sputniknews.com. $3.1 billion spent on a faulty UK-built warship, yet millions are in work poverty and using food banks. Shocking. Desmond says, do you reckon it was attacked by a rogue Navy SEAL?
Yeah. How long before Russia gets the blame for this now? It can't be far away. I'm guessing the end of the day.
And Carmen says the HMS Queen Elizabeth shall henceforth be known as Leaky McLeakface. Very good. Now, some Tuesday thoughts for you, Mark.
Okay.
Just a couple. Stephen says, a true hero isn't measured by the size of his strength, but the strength of his heart. And Richard says, believe in yourself and the world will be at your feet.
A nice thought. And remember, if you would like to comment on any of our news stories, you can do so by emailing us at radio@sputniknews.com. And finally, I know you love Christmas, Craig.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
A lot of people can't be bothered at Christmas time, though. I think we both fit into that category. But I don't want our listeners thinking we're just a pair of old grumpy bahas, or bah humbugs even. It's just that we celebrate the festive period by watching a bit of football, having a wee drink or two, and meeting up with friends and having a laugh. Yes. I think that the thing that annoys me, I think probably the most about the whole thing is the so-called traditional aspects of Christmas, because I think it can place a lot of pressure on people, especially if you're the one doing all the cooking, for example. Are you having a traditional Christmas dinner, Craig?
Yeah, well, chicken.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, okay. No turkey.
Anyway, if you think we're bah humbugs, maybe have a look at one local government body in England, Leicestershire Council, who is giving advice on how many Brussels sprouts people should have with their turkey. The council has instructed that the following be observed: 6 Brussels sprouts per portion, don't overbuy and they won't go to waste, the council said. Now, admittedly, that's not the most catchy campaign slogan I've ever heard, but the council has said it's genuinely worried about the amount of food waste generated over the festive period, and they believe their advice will help cut that down. But it's not just the Brussels. The council is also telling people how many roast potatoes they should have and how much turkey should be on the plate. But perhaps, rather predictably, the council's advice has produced a bit of a backlash, with many residents objecting to so-called state-controlled food portions, and that the council should stop interfering in people's lives. Which brings me neatly to our Christmas cracker joke segment. I know you love this as much as you do Brussels sprouts, Craig, so I'll make it brief. What do you call a weightlifting vegetable?
Mussel sprout?
You've been reading the Christmas cracker jokes again.
No.
What's the world's worst selling beer?
Don't know.
Brussels stout.
Oh, yes.
And finally, what's the difference between Brussels sprouts and snot?
I don't know.
Children will eat their snot. So bon appetit on that. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but you can catch up on the latest headlines and breaking news by going to sputniknews.com/radio. In the meantime, from Craig Johnstone, myself, Mark Hirst, and the rest of the team here at Radio Sputnik, thanks for listening. In a moment, we hand over to Washington, D.C., which listeners in D.C. can also tune into on 105.5 FM and 1390 AM. But for now, goodbye.
Radio Sputnik. We speak your language. Find us at SputnikNews.com.
Time now for a look at what's happening in the world of social media. So, Craig, what are people saying? What's trending?
Okay, we have hashtag Nikki Haley, hashtag Bitcoin, and hashtag a good time in 4 words.
Oh, look forward to that.
Yeah. So,
was that 4 words? Look forward to that. Yeah, it was. There you go.
Yeah, using my fingers there. Now, the US is ready to take names of its critics. That's according to America's ambassador to the UN. This is ahead of a session to debate Washington's decision to recognise Jerusalem as the Israeli capital and move its embassy there.
How do you think the US or the rest of the world will respond to the US treating them like they're naughty school children?
I think it's just going to drive a bigger wedge between the US and the rest of the world. It's very, very isolationist at the minute, isn't it, America?
Very. And also, it doesn't seem to be remotely interested in building relations.
No,
which is going to have an impact on it. You know, Trump has said, and Nikki Haley also, that they're all about protecting American national interests, but you don't do that by annoying. Well, I mean, okay, America has some, enemies in the world, but most of the people it seems to be annoying lately is its allies.
Well, this is it. It's a very strange decision that they've made, and they must have known it was going to upset a lot of people in the world when they announced this. It's not like it's a shock. So
this is the decision to recognise Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's been met with a lot of anger across the Muslim world, but not just in the Muslim world.
Because it effectively kills off any hopes that there's going to be a peace process anytime soon.
Yeah, so why would you kill off the hopes of a peace process? It's
well,
rather
I think there's agendas running there. Trump's relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, I think is a massive factor.
So you think that's a major driving factor behind this decision?
And also you should never mix personal relationships with politics. I think that's where a lot of politicians become unstuck.
Yeah. Is Donald Trump a politician, though?
He's a phenomena.
Oh, how diplomatic you are.
That's me.
Scott has emailed radio@spinningace.com. Just when you think their arrogance has peaked, they display that there is no roof on their height of entitlement.
Yeah.
Patrick here. This sounds like bullies openly threatening UN members. Kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I have a feeling, in some ways, there's been a lot of talk about a kind of reorganisation of the world order, if you like. It's been spoken about for a number of years, and Trump may be the catalyst for that, because I think a lot of countries are realising, I mean, the German Chancellor, for example, has already stated that they cannot no longer look at the United States as the leader, as a global leader, and they're looking elsewhere to build longer term relationships. So I think what Trump's doing, whether he's doing it on purpose or not, is going to have ramifications for the United States for decades to come.
Absolutely. And would a genuine world leader try to bully other UN members?
Trump would. Remember what he did to the Hungarian Prime Minister at the NATO summit? He literally physically pulled his shoulder back and walked right in front of him.
Yeah, astonishing.
I mean, if you were to do that in a pub in Glasgow, you would get thumped, wouldn't you?
Yes. Sarah emailed radio@spinningace.com as well, and she said the last poll I checked said up to 70% of Americans are opposed to the embassy move. Will they have the bottle to respect the wishes of the American people?
Well, it's all about information, though, isn't it? I mean, people. I think if people are given an informed choice, given the information, but they're, I think a lot of the time they're denied that, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a story that's going to run and run. I think possibly one of the most controversial stories of 2017, don't you think?
For certain, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the Bitcoin sell-off continued on Wednesday. That means our engineer, Thomas, is only worth 5 billion instead of 10 billion. But the Bitcoin sell-off continued on Wednesday after the leading platform for buying and selling the cryptocurrency, that's Coinbase, announced it was rolling out support for rival Bitcoin Cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Don't know.
It's so complicated.
We love Bitcoin, don't we? We do. I mean, we had many high-profile banking figures warning us not to invest in it, and that kind of makes me want to invest in it now. I think all these bankers are coming out and saying don't put your money in it, and I almost smell a rat.
I've never been so interested in something that I know absolutely nothing about.
It's fascinating.
It's got that allure, isn't it? That
it's got the allure of you can make money quite quickly.
Get rich quick.
And a lot of people have.
Instead
of engineers
getting poor slowly, which has been the pattern so far.
Well, this is at a time, certainly, speaking for the UK, at the time of rising prices, stagnant wages, you can see why people want to move to Bitcoin and invest money in that. It's not like you're making a lot of money if you've got money in the bank. Interest rates aren't great.
No.
People just want to make some easy money. It kind of looks that way. But of course.
Are you going to go for it or not?
No. No, I think I've missed the boat. I was talking about it around about $7,000 or $8,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's now about 17 or so. I think I have missed the boat. But John McAfee, Sputnik regular, has said
a real character.
He's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Or he's going to eat a certain part of his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's going to be an image.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, William.
Not suitable for radio.
William on email says, I think it's a matter of time before governments remove paper money. It will end up being it's 100% controlled and monitored government-issued virtual money. I think that's highly likely.
Yeah, it's possible. It's clear they're going to want to get in on the action.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Plus, think of all that lovely tax money.
I wonder if that might precipitate a crash in Bitcoin. If they did, indicate, we're getting involved in this.
Well,
people try to get out of it then.
That precipitated the last crash, I believe. It was in China. They were trying to regulate it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Louise says, next year, Bitcoin will be worth more than Apple. I'm going to buy more today.
Okay.
Oh. And Kathy says, bigger the bubble, bigger the bust.
Yeah.
Nobody can defy the laws of physics. So there we go. Bitcoin still dividing opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to buy some, actually?
I've thought about it.
Maybe it'd be a nice Christmas present.
I don't understand it. That's the whole thing.
I'll just have the 4 Bitcoins from you. I'm not a greedy man. Okay, hashtag a good time in 4 words trending.
Yeah.
Julian says, reading a good book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dan, staying in warm bed. That's a good time in 4 words. And Maureen says, hashtag a good time in 4 words, dancing with my daughter.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And remember, if you would like to comment on any of our news stories, you can do so by emailing us at radio@sputniknews.com. And finally, environmentalists in a suburb of the English city of Bristol have worked themselves into a right flap after posh residents fitted anti-bird spikes to nearby trees in an effort to stop pigeons defecating on their cars. The spikes, which are normally fitted to buildings, have been nailed to the branches of trees in the exclusive suburb of Clifton and overhang expensive BMWs and Audis, although I should make clear other top-of-the-range cars have also been the target of the bird droppings. One local Green councillor said the spikes looked awful and had been left literally uninhabitable for the birds. Others took to Twitter, where else, to voice their disapproval with the wealthy property owners, accusing them of launching a war on wildlife. Are bird droppings a big problem in Glasgow, Craig?
I'm not aware of, no.
There is no suggestion that the use of the spikes is like a sick eagle. Sick eagle is Bristol rhyming slang for illegal. Illegal.
Got it, yeah.
And the posh residents say they are not against wildlife, they just don't want their cars covered in droppings, which is why they've nailed the spikes to the trees. There is specific advice on what to do if a bird poos on your car. Do you know what that is?
Never go out with her again.
Exactly.
Hey!
Who writes this stuff? I think it's me, is it? Yeah. Okay, Craig, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but you can catch up on the latest headlines and breaking news by going to sputniknews.com/radio. In the meantime, from Craig Johnson, myself, Mark Hirst, and the rest of the team here at Radio Sputnik, thanks for listening. In a moment, we hand over to Washington, D.C., which listeners in D.C. can also tune into on 105.5 FM and 1390 AM. But for now, goodbye.
Radio Sputnik. We speak your language. Find us at sputniknews.com.
Time now for a look at what's happening in the world of social media. So, Craig, what are people saying? What's trending today?
Okay, we have lots going on. Hashtag Damien Green, hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag Winter Solstice, and hashtag my 4 words Christmas nightmare.
Oh.
Get to that
Intriguing.
soon. Right, so Damien Green, as you heard a little bit earlier in this era, has been sacked after misleading statements, Mark.
Yeah. A politician lying.
I know.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that, right? Isn't that the job?
Yeah, there's a big effort to try and blame the police for this disclosure, isn't there? Because it was a police officer, a detective, in fact, who came forward and made the disclosures that there was pornography on his parliamentary computer.
Mm-hmm. But of course, how did it get there in the first place? That's really who's guilty,
He's
right?
still denying it, but it's quite clear the reason he's had to resign is he made a statement saying that he didn't know there was indecent images on his computer, and that was a lie because he had been told by the police that they'd found that material.
Interesting.
Sleazy.
Yeah, very, very. Sleaze seems to follow the Conservative government.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Always seems to bring them down. That in Europe are two reoccurring threads for the Tory party.
Interesting about David Davis, though, the Brexit minister, because he had said when there was rumours that Damien Green would resign, he had said that he would resign if Damien Green went. Bearing in mind, Damien Green is the deputy Prime Minister, one of May's closest allies. This is quite serious, but I noticed that it's being downplayed by certain sections of the British establishment.
Yeah, funny that. It's almost like they've got an interest in having the Conservative Party in charge.
Or perhaps they have their own dodgy material.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, it might be. It's a question that might be worth asking.
You're right, the mainstream media really aren't going for this story in a big way. Let's look at your comments and what you're saying. That's interesting. radio@sputniknews.com. Debbie says, if the basis for resignation is lying, well, the entire cabinet should be resigning. It would be difficult to imagine a bigger bunch of persistent pathological liars.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like that whole Trump thing going on, that the facts are there, the reality is there, and they're saying completely the opposite and sticking to it doggedly. I mean, yeah, tells you a lot about how desperate they are to cling on to power.
Absolutely. Willie says the only difference between so-called corrupt countries and the UK is that the British are much better at hiding it.
Yeah. I remember speaking to someone who was very familiar with Africa, and there's a lot of corruption in Africa, but they'd made the point that it's right in your face. They don't try and hide it. They don't try and hide it. Whereas here, there's massive corruption, especially in the city of London, but it's all done in a gentleman's club.
Absolutely.
Of Mayfair somewhere.
Yes,
probably.
Exactly. And of course, it's very much all about power structures as well, isn't it? People at the top.
Old boys networks, that kind of thing.
And I'm sure there's many secrets up there that won't meet or see the light of day.
No.
Barry says, spare thought for satirical comedians these days. It's getting harder and harder to come up with anything more ridiculous than the circus that is the UK government. Yeah. He's got a point there. Brexit, Damien Green, Priti Patel. It's been a bit of a disaster for Theresa May. It's
impossible to parody.
Yeah. Do you think it's her horrible year, as the Queen once said?
Annus Horribilis.
Yeah,
something like that, wasn't it?
I think it's been Theresa May's version of that this year, don't you? Yeah.
I think things are going to get worse for her.
Yeah,
I mean, 2018's not looking too clever, is it?
Look into your crystal ball. A year from now, will she still be Prime Minister?
I don't think so. I would rather put money on Bitcoin than that.
Well, Bitcoin, that's our next hashtag, is a massive speculative bubble that will implode. And people buying it now will be left holding the bag. Now, this is according to an economist called Peter Schiff. You might recognise the name. He's best known for predicting the 2008 financial crash.
Oh, yes.
Bitcoin has been gradually falling over the past few days. Not too dramatic.
It's not crashed, though, has it?
No. If you invested, even a few weeks ago, you're still well up. You're still well in profit. So, Peter Schiff has actually said it will fall to zero.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nowhere near that just now. It's still a healthy sum, and I imagine many people are thinking, well, hang on, should I cash out now, or should I hang on to 100k? Because that's been predicted.
Is there a danger that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that people say it's going to crash, and then
it does.
Lo and behold, it does.
Yeah, it does. It's an interesting one. David says the scammers have probably taken out their money already. Colin says people just tend to follow the herd, which follows the rising prices. It's all artificial. I must admit, I was following that herd. And I'm sure millions have as well. And Ricardo says Bitcoin for me is Mickey Mouse money. When you hold gold or paper money in your hands, you can actually buy bread.
Yeah. I think the other interesting aspect of this whole story about Bitcoin and its phenomenal rise is that the banks, some of the big financial institutions, have come out heavily criticising it, but then they would, because they've got a vested interest in doing that. Of
course. Our man Max Kaiser still thinks it's going to rise, maybe probably about sevenfold from where it is just now.
Right, okay.
He's talking about 100k. And, Max has got it right. Way back years ago when not many people were talking about this, he said, invest your money in it. So if you followed him, you'd be quite rich just now. But I personally, if I had put the money in years ago and I was as wise as
you wouldn't be sitting here,
engineer through the glass there, I would have took my money out and, be sitting in Barbados right now.
Yeah. Oh, well.
However, never mind. Hashtag winter solstice. It's here.
Yep.
Gordon says, the irony of the hashtag winter solstice is that the Republican Party are passing their tax reform bill on the darkest day of the year.
Yeah.
Don't you need to work about 6 months of the year to pay all your taxes and then the rest of the money is yours? It's a stat round about
is there?
May.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
This time of year, the solstice, a lot of people do unusual things. There's the kind of dukers, I think they're called, where people go into the sea. It's a Scottish term.
I was going to say, you're going to have to explain to our American audience what a doer is.
A duker. Which means you get your swimming costume on and then you go for a swim in the sea. In the winter, in the middle of the winter.
Oh no, I wouldn't fancy that.
Well, you know something? The temperature of the sea around the UK only changes by a degree or two all year round.
Yeah.
It's freezing all year round. It's always cold.
Absolutely. Connor says the darkest hour is just before dawn, hashtag winter solstice. And Martin says today is the shortest day of the year, or it's the longest if you've got to go to a supermarket to get your Christmas shopping, visit your in-laws, or attend a kid's party. Also, we have trending hashtag my forward Xmas nightmare.
Okay.
It's not far away, is it?
It is for Theresa May.
Will says batteries are not included. That's my forward Xmas nightmare. Stuck in a plane, says Dan. And Simone, well, I'm going to echo this. Hashtag my forward Xmas nightmare. January's credit card statements.
Oh, something to dream about there.
Yep.
Okay, Craig, and remember, if you would like to comment on any of our news stories, you can do so by emailing us at radio@sputniknews.com. And finally, we're partial to the occasional pie here on Radio Sputnik, as well as other pastries. Do you take your time when you're eating pies, Craig?
Yes, I do.
What's the fastest you think you've ever eaten a pie?
Oh, probably about a minute.
A minute? That's quite good. You need to listen carefully then.
Okay.
The pie connoisseurs have been descending on Wigan near Manchester in England for the 23rd World Pie Eating Championships. The aim of the competition is to eat an entire 10-centimetre pie as fast as you can. The event started at Pie Noon, with Martin Appleton Clare, last year's winner, first up. In an effort to psych out his opponents, he downed 2 pints of lager before walking to the trestle table. There, lined up, were 60 potato and meat pies. A whistle blew and the competitors began munching away as fast as they could. Then, an incredible 32 seconds later, the judge's whistle blew again. Martin had taken the title again for the 4th time running with a record-beating time. The pie-eyed 39-year-old said, "I'm over the moon. This is the 4th time I've won, and this year feels a bit more important with it being a world record." Clearly a crust above the rest there, Craig. Vicky Lindley was declared fastest female pie muncher, downing her pie in 90 seconds, but a long way behind Martin. Most other competitors took around three minutes or more to finish their pies. So you're definitely up there.
I'm a champ.
You thought you were a slow pie eater.
It's the sort of dream I've always dreamt of.
Did you know that the pie was actually a Roman invention that was designed to keep the ingredients fresher, and the pastry was meant to be thrown away?
No.
Interesting. And also, in 1644, Oliver Cromwell banned pies from being sold and eaten at Christmas time because he believed Christmas was a pagan festival and the pie was a symbol of that. And finally, did you know that this year, £1.1 billion worth of pies were sold in the UK?
No.
Incredible, isn't it? And if only we could follow Martin's impressive technique, we might get through a lot more and maybe boost the economy. Okay, well, Craig, we'll have more news coming up shortly.
Radio Sputnik. We speak your language. Find us at SputnikNews.com.
Time now for a look at what's happening in the world of social media. So, Craig, what are people saying? What's trending today?
Okay, we have Bitcoin, Michael Heseltine, and hashtag royal wedding.
Oh, great.
I almost believed you there for a minute. No, I didn't. Right, Bitcoin has hit a new record high after passing $9,000 and is close to reaching 5 figures as investors in the cryptocurrency shrug off warnings of a bubble. Now, about a month ago, looked at investing in Bitcoin but didn't.
Right.
I feel a bit foolish now.
Well, it could still go up considerably, couldn't it?
Yes. And it already has, you see. It's went up a massive amount. So,
and is it a bubble that might burst? Is that what people are afraid of?
People are afraid of that. But again, it's all speculation. So we've got some comments on this. Scott says, regardless of what happens price-wise, I still like being one of the people who invested in the world's first decentralised digital currency. It's fun too. Paul says people have no faith in the banking sector that only a few years ago left the Western world on its knees.
Now, I admit I know next to nothing about Bitcoin. This only works if you're doing big transactions, though, does it?
No, it could be small transactions as well, so you can invest a small amount. Okay. Yeah, so it's not about how much money you have, but you can certainly make money. I reckon there's a lot of hedge funds get involved in it now, and I think there is serious money involved, but well, the thing is, it's not taxable.
As soon as the big institutions find some way to exploit it, though, it's going to end, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's no government in control of it as well. So I don't see that lasting
really in control
forever.
No,
exactly. Well, for example, you don't pay tax on it, etc. Yeah. Kate says there's incredible leaps and bounds being made to scale the Bitcoin, and they're coming whether you want to believe it or not. So I can imagine there is authorities out there, and certainly banking institutions, who won't like this, because it's not under their control.
Exactly. It cuts out the middleman, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably part of the success. And people say, well, it's not virtual, it's not real, it's not a real currency. But, what currency is actually real, if you know what I mean?
All money is imaginary. It's just in your head.
Exactly. When you log on to your internet banking.
Exactly.
It's not physically there, is it? Now, Michael Heseltine in the news today, he says the best industrial strategy for the UK is to stop Brexit.
Okay. He was nicknamed Tarzan, wasn't he, Michael Heseltine?
Because he looked like him.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, apparently. It's an interesting viewpoint from Michael Heseltine. Not if you know a little bit about him, it's not a surprising thing that he said, but it's certainly a high-profile name, one of the first to come out and say, stop Brexit.
I'm surprised, actually, there hasn't been more voices because it's quite clear that as things progress, well, they're not progressing, that's the point. And it's looking like there's no fixed plans, it doesn't look like... There's still meant to be a vote of the Parliament on whatever the final deal may look like, but it's... I'm getting not the slightest clue about what's going to be involved. Britain's
a very divided country right now, even amongst Brexiteers.
Yeah.
Whether they want a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit. And there's not a lot of confidence. Wages are being squeezed right now, inflation's going up, there's a great deal of fear, even mortgage approvals are going down. People are starting to get a bit frightened. So, Michael Heseltine reckons to increase confidence in the UK, Brexit should be stopped. Connor says it's totally wrong that Theresa May and her Brexiteers are being propped up by the DUP. It's highly dubious, to say the least. I just don't trust them.
Yeah, because we could see this double whammy of both economic catastrophe and the potential for the Irish peace process to be in tatters. And
that would be a catastrophe.
Who knows where that would leave us?
Absolutely. Peter says Brexit is a national suicide, and it's all because of the xenophobic, right-wing delusional Tories dreaming of an imperialistic British past. And Jackie...
I've met some of them. Yes. They do exist.
They do. Jackie says, is this the same Michael Heseltine that's on record with his support for David Cameron and George Osborne? I think he can be ignored. Moving on to hashtag royal wedding.
Okay.
I know you're a huge fan of the royal family, Mark.
I've got all the plates, all that stuff, tea towels.
Bunting.
Tea towels. I could probably sell a few of these tea towels and replace them on the new ones that are being printed off as we speak.
It's massive news. Massive news around the world. Alistair says, there's precisely 4 tweets you're going to see about hashtag royal wedding, so I thought I'd try and condense them into a single tweet to save time. 1, I'm so excited, happy for them. 2, us taxpayers will be paying for it. 3, who the hell cares? And 4, do we get a day off work for it?
A day off work? That sounds more like up my street.
And Glenn says, finally, hashtag royal wedding. People criticise the royal family for wasting taxpayers' money, but at least Harry waited to get a Black Friday deal on an engagement ring.
OK, Craig, and remember, if you would like to comment on any of our news stories, you can do so by emailing us at radio@sputniknews.com. And finally, you like Christmas, don't you, Craig?
as much as I
like the royal.
Yeah, exactly.
And will you be putting a Christmas tree up this year?
No.
OK, well, good. That's probably a good thing, because new research has suggested that it might not be the best idea to have a Christmas tree in your house. According to Professor Bartjart Jordal, Associate Professor of the University Museum of Bergen, as many as 25,000 different species of bugs or insects can be found hibernating in Christmas trees. Professor Jordal has warned that the bugs and insects hibernate for the winter and usually empty their body of fluids before producing a chilled liquid and become completely inactive. But as soon as you bring them into the nice warm house, guess what? They think it's springtime, which reminded me of a joke. Why can't Christmas trees sew?
Dunno, Mark.
Because they always drop their needles.
Oh, very good.
OK, Craig, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but you can catch up on the latest headlines and breaking news by going to sputniknews.com/radio. In the meantime, from Craig Johnson, myself, Mark Hirst, and the rest of the team here at Radio Sputnik, thanks for listening. In a moment, we hand over to Washington, D.C., which listeners in D.C. can also tune into on 105.5 FM. But for now, goodbye.
Radio Sputnik. We speak your language.